And this evening our guest is a person from the representing the people at the Colombo Municipal Council, and a politician for quite a while, and happens to be a lady. Let's find out what she knows that we don't about the economy and matters corruption. Sharmila Gonawela, very good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Faraz.
Member of the Colombo Municipal Council, the CMC,
yes.
and chairperson of the Urban Citizens Movement.
Yes.
Now, can I just say things to you? You know, we had, what was that called? Vietun Gay Handa. Have I said it right?
Yes.
And then we had things like Viatmaga, and then something about Kanta Savia, and urban citizens. What is all this?
Urban Citizens, yes, I started it.
Oh.
We have a lot of academics, professionals, entrepreneurs. What we want is to be a think tank. We want to support any government that is in power to do good for the country. to eliminate corruption.
Straight away, can I interrupt you? Straight away I'm going to interrupt you and ask you, really? So this is wonderful, think tank and all that business. Who's listening?
Well, it is for the people. I want to build a good pressure group that we can speak to the decision makers in the country. We've just started this off. That was the same purpose that Professor Vimala Dharma Abbevikrama started Viyathunge Handa in 2015, when the country needed it most, when the country is on the wrong track and when there is no strong opposition in the country, there has to always be a people's movement, citizens movement that will guide and voice their opinion to any government.
Ms. Gonawela, what happened to these professionals, you know, Viatmaga? Before the elections they were very active and doing all sorts of things, and now they've been silenced, or they are silent. It's almost shocking.
Viyathunge Handa is the one that started off first, and it's a breakaway group that went and formed Viatmaga.
Right.
Initially, the president of the organization, Viyathunge Handa, was Professor Vimala Dharma Abbevikrama and Professor Shanika Hirimburegama. The vice presidents were Nalaka Godaheva and Janita Liyanage. And joint secretaries were me and Dinesh Dadangoda.
So,
and treasurer was
Godaheva jumped ship.
No, we didn't want to be political. We wanted to be the eyes and the ears of any government.
We shouldn't have got Mr. Godaheva then, because he's clearly politics.
That's now for us. I'm talking about when we started off Viyathunge Handa. The purpose was that, to be the eyes and the ears of any government, to carry the message to the people and to carry the people's message to the higher authorities. But they decided it was otherwise. They moved out and they formed Viatmaga. But Viyathunge Handa was reformed again recently. Urban Citizens is also in the same lines. We are working with, people who can contribute more to society without depending on governments or politics. And what was the smile about for that?
I am smiling because I hear what you're saying, and you know, I can almost feel the SMSs coming through and saying this is getting rather boring, so let's ask the questions that matter. And I don't want to say this that because you are a lady and so on, and presumably the real head of your household, even though you have 3 men in the house, we assume that you are the head of the household. Now, what do you say? Everything has gone up.
Yes.
The rising cost of living. Has your income kept pace with it? Has your husband's income kept pace with that? How are you coping, not as Sharmila Gonawela, but as a citizen, mother, part-time housewife? Because
I'm a full-time housewife.
Oh, you're a full-time housewife,
Yes.
and you
my
work
priority is my home and family.
Right. But
for
how are
us,
you
cost
coping?
of living is very high. Prices are going up daily, but it is happening globally. due to the pandemic. But if we look at it on a larger picture than looking at it in a political angle, well, this is what Mrs. Bandaranayake at that time wanted to find long-term solutions for. Our people were not ready to accept it, and our politicians, opposition politicians, were not ready to accept it either.
So this is all the fault of the UNP
We have
now.
no. I'm not blaming one government.
Oh, right. Okay.
All
Right.
governments since independence. Mrs. Bandaranayake wanted our country to produce, to manufacture, but were we ready to accept it? Maybe the way of implementing it was not ideal, but
Well, it wasn't ideal when we had to dig up the quadrangle at St. Thomas's. You know, that's just simply not on.
But long term, we have to do is, as long as we keep importing everything from outside, we are depending on other countries. We are not, as people in this country, we are not contributing to the manufacturing economy in this country. It is only about the 3%.
And the answer is?
The answer is yes, we need to bring everything from abroad. The dollar goes high, and then the last 2 years with the pandemic, our offering services and bringing in dollars were cut down to a very large extent, and it is only a very few entrepreneurs that bring in dollars to this country. You know, we don't have Microsoft and Apple and Alibaba in this country bringing.
Why don't we have them? Isn't I put it to you that Sri Lanka as a country is not attractive to large corporates because we don't have a consistent policy on anything.
Yes.
We've given 14 tax amnesties.
Yes.
We've had something called the appropriation bill, in which the government retakes what it has given, saying that it's underperforming, and so on and so forth. We had one hotel property, 7 acres in the centre of Colombo. They were supposed to pay just $3 million in rent, 3 million rupees in rent every year, and they never paid that. And then they were surprised that the government took it all back. Now then, various little dodgy things like this creates for huge expenses, and today we are suffering. Our prices have gone up. The popularity of your government, the government that you are aligned with, has gone right down, and performance is another story.
For us, our people are used to expecting everything coming free. They look at a budget to see what is going to be reduced, what taxes are going to be removed, and then they want the country to be developed. They want the cost of living to be kept low. I mean, if you are not ready to pay taxes, how do you expect things to come down in price? It cannot happen.
And how can you pay taxes when there are amnesties being given?
Yes, but when you say the government is
amnesties.
becoming unpopular, I must tell you, this is not Gotabaya Rajapaksa or Mahinda Rajapaksa government that has suddenly brought this economic crisis to this country. This has happened over a period of time since independence. Wrong decisions made by
Mahinda
the rulers.
Rajapaksa was the Minister of Finance.
At that time, when the whole world suffered financial crisis, he managed Sri Lanka well.
I'm talking about the tax amnesty, the most recent one, the 14th one in the history of our country.
Yes, so there could be things that majority do not agree, various people do not agree. Maybe there have been mistakes, but right at the moment we are in a crisis situation, so it cannot be pushed just on to one person and say he is responsible. We as a country, as a nation, we have to come out of it. It's not that we have to be politically divided and to ensure that this government or this country is pushed into further trouble just because you are waiting to come back into power. If you are really there, if all 225 are there to ensure the prosperity of the country, to build the economy of the country, we should all contribute towards it.
Yes, but how on earth can we contribute when the government of the day says, listen chaps, we don't need the taxes, you write off the taxes, you know, you can go 1%. What do you mean? We are not some utopian Saudi Arabia with vast oil reserves. We are, after all, we are Sri Lanka. We've got no money. We've got people gone to the Middle East recently, virtually with the begging bowl. Please, sir, not can I have more, can I have lots more, lots more. Typical Oliver Twist kind of thing.
we as people, we have to change our thinking for us. Our people expect the government to give away so much of things, right? Even during the lockdown, people who could have afforded so much came in the line to get that 5,000 rupees, which should go to the poor and the people who really can't afford it. So our thinking has to change.
I've got a carpenter in the Pasikuda area. His young family told me that after the 3 months he only got the two times 5,000.
We only gave 5,000 twice for us.
So the third month he was supposed to look into the skies.
Well,
what do you do?
We do have a financial crisis in this country, economic crisis in this country.
But this carpenter I'm talking about's got a little kid, and that kid wants his milk. What do you say to the kiddie?
I agree with you. There is a crisis, and on top of that, you see how many people get on the streets with various demands. For example, take the teachers. Right, teachers, yes, they need a pay hike.
Why?
As much as they need, everyone else needs a pay hike also.
What about Mahinda and Sharmila and Naviksha and Shan and everybody else? Don't they need pay rises?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So when you go to sort one problem, say they find answers to the problems of the teachers, then others start protesting, asking for pay hikes. Can we afford it at the moment?
No, we can't.
We can't. Yeah. So why are we looking it at in a very political angle? Now, teachers' crisis had been there for the last 24 years. But it is at this point when the country, the whole world is facing a pandemic, that they want the pay hike right now.
I put it to you that the people are demanding because they see wanton wastage. Do we really need a highway to Kandy or to anywhere else? Or do we need to have readily available milk powder on the counter? And can we really... Do you know the last government, as much as I have my various issues and the bond takes principal place, but nevertheless, you know, if you look at the gas prices, they brought the price down. Now what has happened? 984 rupees upwards. Where am I going to find the money from? I'm going to have to tell Gopi to start using firewood.
Whereas, why every decision that's made by various governments is more political than more realistic decisions made, right? Bringing down the gas price is just when it's close to an election, when your own people complain, they can bring down the price. But I heard on TV this morning, the Litrogas chairman was mentioning the prices of the gas that comes to their store. I was wondering how they were able to give it at that cheap cost so many years now. Right, so that all that is people's money that they put in to make up to the difference. So these are wrong decisions made by various people. But yes, prices going up, people will be ready to bear it. But from top to bottom, everyone has to make sacrifices. So as a country, then people will be okay to...
So is the Republic now being asked to pay these high prices? You know, I'm cynical and I'm trying to be objective, but I've heard this story that all these price rises are all the increase in prices is because the government can collect a bit more money. Why? To spend on the provincial council elections, which they might even lose. Do you think they'll lose?
First of all, we should see if it is the right environment to hold elections.
Oh, no, don't tell me. After 3 years, we waited 3 years for this. Come on.
For us, we were there for years without elections. It is under our government that we started holding elections in the north and east, which people have
was the Prime Minister 5 times. You know, in his government, that Yapalanista government, they embarked with the help of that minister, Faiza Mustafa. you know, they delayed and delayed and procrastinated.
Exactly.
And now we
collect taxes to hold elections. This is all political talk, no, for us. Opposition thinks now that the cost of living is high, lots of shortcomings. Okay, now hold an election and we can win. Is this because they love the people? Is this because they love the country? You know, this whole game is about trying to make the government unpopular, for the opposition to gain popularity, win elections, gain power. This country, we have suffered enough of political games. We have suffered enough of political conspiracies. This is the time for all parties to get together and build this country, if they are actually committed towards building this country and working for the people.
Are you going to be running for presidency?
No. I'm definitely not. I am not looking at a political future, but I'm telling you, as a citizen, as a mother, I feel for this country. I still believe the best policy that was introduced to this country was by Mrs. Sirimao Bandaranayake, and then our present President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was trying to introduce fertilizer. That also, it's all political for us.
Have you just told me that it's political, this fertilizer business?
Yes, yes.
On that note, we'll take a break and we'll find out how corrupt the place where Ms. Gonawela is representing, the CMC. Is it corrupt? We don't know, do we? The people, you and me, we don't know. Let's find out. After the break, let's take a look at the headlines from that wonderful primetime news team.
Newsfirst, Newsline.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Fertilizer promised by Agriculture Minister still unavailable. Farmers call out Agriculture Minister over fertilizer shortage.
රසායනික පොහොර ටිකක්වත් අපිට එමතුමා මේ වෙනකොට කාබනික පොහොරල්
ප්‍රශ්න දින සභාපතිතුමා අපි දැන් කතා කරත් රසායනික අපිට ගේන්න කාලයක් නැහැ. ඒකට තව මාස දෙකක් යනවා රසායනික අපිට ගේන්න.
Government parliamentarians oppose fertilizer decision.
නිවැරදි ක්‍රමවේදයක් හදාගෙන මේක ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න කියලා. නැත්නම් අපිටත් පාරට වයින් බැලුවා.
Will teachers be present when schools reopen on the 21st?
ඉදිරි සතියේදී හෝ මේ සතියේදී අපේ 21 පාසල් යනවද නැද්ද කියන එක පිළිබඳව තීන්දුව ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරනවා.
Will a shortage of sugar occur? Signs of a fuel price hike emerge.
One qualification, two destinations. All of the students can save time, money and stress. For 288,000 rupees, complete the ACBD Foundation in 8 months and enroll into universities in UK, Australia or ACBD partnered universities in Sri Lanka. Enrolling now. Call 071 115 1234.
Newsfirst, Newsline.
And welcome back to Newsline recording. My guest this evening is Ms. Sharmila Gonawela, who is of course the chairperson of the Urban Citizens Movement and also representative from the CMC. Is there corruption at the CMC?
Yes.
Is there?
Yes. I always voiced my opinion against it. I've always brought it to the notice of the authorities. Corruption is high. It's increasing daily.
Is it?
It is.
What's the commitment to stop it?
It is the governor of the Western Province who, yes, he has been on many occasions, but then, of course, they find different way of approaching
but
and
we've had
getting
all
it through
sorts
again.
of scams, haven't we? We had parking things, and we had that wonderful theory about sending garbage, where you pay for the truck to go. And do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that the CMC also paid for the trucks to come back so they can collect more garbage and go back before they got paid again. It's crazy. When you take a taxi, you only pay for the journey. You don't pay for the taxi driver to go home, do you?
1, 2, check.
Well, that is one huge issue. But we are broken into, the Colombo city is broken into 6 administration areas. And all those administration areas is being given to the private sector to collect and dispose garbage. And we pay 210 million every month for disposing garbage. And the last tender that we offered to this company, no competitors, it's only 2 companies that keep bidding for this. No other company can enter this.
So even when it's Kunu, there is corruption going on.
Well, other countries make Kunu a way of income for the councils. For us, it is just garbage that is being disposed. And the last tender awarded was 105 times more than the previous
105 times
percent more than the previous contract.
Is that because of the COVID? Because everyone blames it on the COVID.
105 times more. Maybe I honestly thought during the lockdown the garbage was lesser because offices were closed, people working from home, restaurants and hotels were closed, so less garbage that way. And then garbage on the streets also would have been lesser. Manin market and other markets were closed down. But well, it has to be the payments made to the cleaners. But has payments been increased 100% to all street cleaners? No, it has not been.
Well, okay, but the point is this: where is this all heading? Do you agree that the people, by and large, are quite fed up with the rising prices? They are quite fed up because they had a different vision when they were casting their vote, and don't you think that the people feel terribly let down?
People have voiced their opinion to me also personally, but then the last 2 years we cannot count that as an year where the government or the president could have delivered as they promised or they would have loved because of the situation, the world situation. But I like to get back to the municipal council and tell you.
Please do.
Yes, because that's where I am and I know that better. If you had seen in the news a few weeks ago, the councillors were protesting against the commissioner and the municipal treasurer, and the staff was protesting against the councillors on distributing dry rations to the needy in the city area. But I must tell you, for us, if we can stop the corruption in the council, the waste in the council, we can feed all the underprivileged families in the city all 30 days of the month. That's how much corruption is going out. I remember.
Again, I have to interrupt. I keep interrupting very strategically. Isn't it your job to stop the corruption?
I am in the opposition. We are the government, all right, but where the Colombo Municipal Council
You're in the opposition.
I am in the
because you're here in the studio telling us that there's still corruption.
Yes, but authorities has to take certain measures to prevent it. Whether they are actually happening is an issue. Just like the garbage contract, I must tell you, the Kolpiti market, I like to tell the viewers, this is your city. The Kolpiti market is yours. It is going to be privatized for development. We are for development. I would support development on partnership basis. But this property was they signed an MOU without the council not knowing. The council was not aware that a MOU was signed to give this property for development. The property has been gazetted to the UDA without council approval, council not knowing, and then it comes to the General Council, where members of the JVP and a few members from Pohottua did protest and say no, this was not right, but then by vote it went through. The resolution was passed, and then comes another amendment to the agreement that was signed, which says that during the 99-year lease period, the council will not receive anything, but at the end of the 99 years, that the developed project will be given to the CMC. But by gazette, if we have handed over the property to the UDA, at the end of 99 years, the property belongs to the UDA, not to the CMC. So people are totally being hoodwinked. So this is corruption. This is an asset, a national asset. That's
so what are you doing about it?
I've informed the authorities. The governor has called for a report, and it's been held at the moment. It was a similar incident.
So this is why I asked you whether the governor is tough.
He is tough enough to make decisions. He's tough enough to call for reports, to call for explanation. Then it's a very famous issue where we gave this private company to put up smart street lights and to have Wi-Fi on the lamppost and use it for advertising. The council's treasurer mentioned that the loss to the council in 20 years would be 3,760 million.
How can it be a loss to the council?
Because by giving advertising to this company, we are losing the income that the council could get.
What are you advertising?
Why we have these billboards, we have other name boards.
Saying that this is your tax rupees at work?
No, people advertise, private companies
advertise.
I see,
the billboards. Okay.
Billboards and other advertising, those street name boards.
Does the municipal council get a proportion of that revenue?
No, once we are given this to the said private company, we don't get anything. They get the revenue.
So what's in it for you?
But nothing, because the smart street lights, we have to install them. They are only maintaining it for us.
Oh.
Right, so it's a project to make some company rich through the car parking.
Not to serve the people.
Not to serve the people. I
can almost,
somebody else's benefit.
I can almost hear the stream of SMSs coming through. Please send it. We'll take it up on another program. 0772 300 305. You feel strongly about what Ms. Sharmila Gonawela is revealing. Please send us a SMS and we'll take it up again. So what's the point? Why did the council enter into such a, well, it's not a dodgy thing, but you know, it's not very equitable, is it?
Well, it is dodgy as well, isn't it, when we know that we are losing money and this agreement had been signed by the previous commissioner just a week before.
We're not saying, well, let's get this right here, all you lawyers listening up. We're not saying the company is dodgy, we're saying that the decision is dodgy.
Definitely. The commissioner at that time signed the agreement when there was no council, just a week before the council was formed. So that alone shows there is vested interest in doing it. And many deals that is not in favor of the council but in favor of private companies.
Can I ask you, because we've got about 2 minutes left to go, do you think that this level of corruption, like you're saying that you're within the system so you can see it, do you think it's replicated in all the other councils around the country?
It must be for us, but ours is the largest council in the city. Our budget is 16 billion. So it's a lot of money for a local government authority. If we do manage well...
If you were in charge, if let's say by some miracle your party was able to wrest control of the CMC, which it's eluded you, your party, for a long time. Anyway, let's say it happened. And if you were in charge, how would you put a stop to this?
Well, I believe there is only one person has to take stern action on based corruption and malpractices, and also to have strict administration. That's all that it takes.
Do you remember?
Very strict administrator.
Do you remember Benazir Bhutto?
Yes, I do.
Right. Do you know what happened to her?
Yes.
Do you fear that will happen to you?
I believe in the one above me.
Yeah.
You do right, you'll be protected.
Sharmila Gonawela, thank you very much for being on Newsline recording. And that's the way it was actually this evening on Newsline. Take care, and it's now time for that wonderful program, the Primetime News from News First. God bless you.
Newsfirst, Newsline.
Hearing your pain, consoling your grief.